Previously on the Skip and Josh podcast.
I actually really like the Eagles. I was sort of promising myself I wouldn't go all numbers nerd on you this time around, but the Eagles finished fourth last year in DVOA, which is...
here we go, Josh. Here we go. Now this is...
I'm
here we
so
go.
excited. I was hoping for this. When do we get into the Ken Pomeroy standings?
The Skip and Josh podcast is on now.
Hello.
Skippy,
Hey, Cub. What's up?
how are you?
Great.
I don't know about you, but it's freezing here.
The weather's garbage. We shouldn't
really
be
is.
we shouldn't be complaining about the weather given what else is going on in the world, right?
You're right, we shouldn't, but I like to leave the windows open in my place. I think they've been open for the last, 3-4 months consecutively.
Right.
And this morning I woke up and it was freezing and I had to shut all the windows.
Yeah, well, it's the same here.
So I'm not happy about that. So summer's over and it sucks.
Well, I bet you we'll have like a little bit of warm weather at a certain point in September, but yeah, summer's over.
Yeah. Before we get into the show, I have to tell you that I always record in my office, in my place. Mm-hmm. But today's a little bit different because I'm sitting on my new chair and it's very comfortable.
Oh, what kind of new chair?
It's whatever. It's a chair from Staples. It's
An office chair. Got it. You
Yeah.
texted me and asking me, where did you get that chair and what kind of chair? I'm like, I don't know. I bought it at Staples, or as they call it here, Bureau en Gros.
Yes, I didn't get the same chair as you because yours has arms. Mine doesn't. They didn't have one. I mean, they had one with arms, but it was like double the price.
Right, sure. The price
and
of
I
chairs is ridiculous, honestly.
It is
Do you see
ridiculous.
some of those chairs? $300, $400 for a chair.
It's crazy. I
know.
don't get that.
I went there and I looked for chairs, and they have like 30 kinds of chairs.
Yeah.
And there's basically 2 out of those 30 that are under $100.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I was in shock, honestly.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I bought the cheapest one they had. And actually, like, I tried it. I sat and it was very comfortable.
It's fine.
I'm sitting on it now. It's very
Yeah.
comfortable. I don't need a $300 chair.
No, I mean, I guess some
for
people...
$300, I expect more than just to sit.
It's true. $300, it should come with a waitress that's going to serve you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like a price of a flight.
It's true.
So I wanted to tell you one other thing before we get into the actual show.
Okay.
You know that I had some trouble with the Tony Kornheiser Show podcast a couple of days ago.
I do know, yes.
So this was very frustrating to me because I played the episode like I do every day around 5:30 p.m. is when I listen to it. Mm-hmm. And so keep in mind that I listen on the subway, so I can't stream. I need to download the full episode and then listen to it.
Right.
So I did exactly what I've done every day for the last year, and I'm listening, and I'm like, first of all, the show opened. You know how they do a clip from the yesterday's episode? I'm listening to the clip, and I'm like, I know that clip. That's not from yesterday. That's from like a year ago.
Right.
So there's already a problem. So I figured, okay, maybe they used the wrong show open. But then I'm listening to the show, and they're talking about something that's a year old.
They used the wrong show.
Not only they used the wrong show, they used the show from the same exact date from exactly 1 year ago, I discovered later.
That explains a little bit of the mystery.
Yes, so it was like, instead of September 8th or September 7th, 2017, it was September 7th, 2016, which, by the way, that was Tony's second show since he went to this new format.
Right.
It was his second episode. So maybe it's a problem with, you know how when we record our show and you save and you save it under a certain naming convention.
Yeah.
So maybe because they'd reached, year 2 of their new format.
Right.
Maybe
Maybe
they need to change the naming convention so that it doesn't go back to last year.
It's true. He probably named the show 0907, and then he named this one 0907, but it was a different year.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to add in the year. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so I was so frustrated. I called you. You said you had no issues at all, which frustrated me even more because, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this?
Yeah.
And then you found out on Twitter or on Facebook or something that Nigel screwed up, but he fixed the problem sometime in the afternoon.
Right.
So by the time I'm listening to it at 5 something, it should be fine. But no, I'm still getting last year's episode.
No,
so what
because
do
you download it immediately as it comes out your phone.
Right. Okay,
Right,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I deleted the episode and then re-downloaded it. but that didn't work. I still got the old one.
Right.
So then what did I do? I deleted every single podcast I've ever listened to on my phone, not just the Tony Kornheiser show, but even our show and everything else.
Yeah.
I deleted them all. Then I rebooted my phone. Then I re-downloaded the episode again, but no, I still got the old one.
So what happened? This is where we left off, and I didn't know what happened. If you ever listened to it, how did you solve this? I don't know what happened.
Well, let me tell you this. So what ended up happening is, I got home, like I couldn't listen to it on the subway. I got home and I just went to the website on my phone. I went to the website and I found it and I pressed play. But the only issue with that is, I need to be in an area where I have data access or internet access.
So now if you try to download that episode on your podcast app, you still can't get that one, or it still brings you the bad one?
I'm glad you asked, because I then again, so I deleted all the episodes, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I had unsubscribed to Tony's show and then resubscribed, and that still didn't work.
Right.
That still didn't work. So anyway, then yesterday around 11 or 12 o'clock, the new episode came out, and it automatically downloaded like I set it to, and it was the right episode. I've already listened to the first half, so it was the right episode.
Yeah.
And then for the fun of it, I just went back to Thursdays to see what it would be. And it's still last year's episode.
That's crazy.
So if you listen via Google Play, you can't get the real Thursday episode. Anyway, it was just a very frustrating day.
I know. I could tell from the tone of your texts that...
all caps.
Well, yeah, and you're like, my day's ruined. Can't listen to Tony. Oh my God, these guys got priorities.
Ruined my day.
And then, I know, first world problems.
Yeah.
But then I was hoping at least that Tony would rip Nigel the next day on the show.
He didn't say a word.
And they didn't even talk about it.
It was like as if it didn't happen. I know.
Yeah, because usually when Nigel screws up, they talk about it, but they didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. That was a bit sketch.
All right, so I've talked enough now. What do you got?
Well, we did our NFL preview last time.
Yes, I listened to the show, and it's one of our best episodes.
Yeah, Neil really elevates the level of our of our content, I have to admit.
By the way, let's tell the listeners we're going to have some more guests. Like, don't say any names, but we'll have more high-profile guests coming up on our show soon.
Yeah, our crack team of content acquisition is working hard at that.
Also known as you and I.
No, you. Yeah. So we didn't really have like a specific topic for today's episode. So I asked you on text why don't you come prepared with 4 things to talk about? And I said, we'll do a segment called 4 Things. That will be the show. We'll each come with 4 things. And then you wrote me back saying, I only have 3 things. Mm-hmm. And then I said, well, then we'll change it to 3 things. We'll just each talk about 3 things. And then 12 seconds later, you texted me back saying, I have 7 things now. So so in 12 seconds, your brain was hard at work and you came up with 4 new things. So,
I do a lot of good work under pressure.
Yeah, apparently. So I wanted to talk about, we'll each bring to the table today 4 things, and we'll do kind of rapid fire. And I don't think we'll spend that much time on each topic, just for the sake of, otherwise this podcast could be 2 hours long.
Right.
But let's go for it. So I'll start if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go please.
Okay, so I have a feeling that one of the things in my list of 4 is also in yours, and we didn't talk about it.
Yes.
So as you know, Jay and Dan debuted this week.
Yes.
On TSN with tons of marketing around it, promos galore, advertising in bus stations, like you said, in Toronto.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you couldn't watch TSN without seeing a commercial for Jay and Dan, like every 30 seconds.
In Toronto, it's different than Montreal. In Toronto, you couldn't step outside of your place or your office without knowing that Jay and Dan were back. It's plastered everywhere on all the billboards.
Yeah.
I walked by the what used to be the Much Music studios.
Yeah.
And it's got Jay and Dan plastered all over it. Anyway, crazy promotion. They spent, I don't know how many thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on this promotion.
Now, I like Jay and Dan. I was sad when they went to Fox and went to California. I was really, really happy to hear that they were coming back because I was looking forward to seeing them again. Now, I don't know if it's all the overhype. I don't know if it's that they're trying too hard. They're trying too hard to be funny, but I don't like the show. And I don't get the show either because they are directly competing. It's basically just SportsCenter with these guys. They're not doing anything really different other than like some weird little skits that they do, like fake movie trailers, fake commercials, like the stuff that they've done a little bit on Fox but didn't used to do on TSN. But like it's still SportsCenter at its core. They're doing highlights in their way. And I want to tell you something. They are directly competing with Kate and Natasha because on one of the other TSN channels, the regular SportsCenter's on. And at this point, it's been a little less than a week of Jay and Dan. I think I prefer Kate and Natasha.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand. I had the same thoughts as you.
Yeah.
It's just a regular sports show. The only difference is basically they walk over to those chairs for like a segment, which, whatever.
Yeah.
And they sit in those comfy chairs, which don't look that comfy, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. They're competing with their own network because on two of the channels, you've got Jay and Dan. On the other two, you've got Kate and Natasha. And they're basically telling you the same stuff. Like, it's not like they're inventing different games that took place that night.
And Kate and Natasha had big shoes to fill when they left, right? And people were like, what's going to happen? And they filled them. They do such a great job. I'm so impressed with them. I'm a huge fan of Kate. I was hot and cold on Natasha, but like she's come around. Like I find that they've really hit their stride and they are really, really good. I kind of feel bad for them that, they're getting completely overshadowed by these two weirdos, Yeah,
there was no promotion or billboards or bus shelter ads or anything for Kate and Natasha.
Well, they never did, right?
Yeah. So you're right. I feel a little bit bad for them. But the other thing is, and this I mentioned to you actually a month ago, and sure enough, it was a problem because all the promotion said September 4th at midnight.
Yeah.
Your son turns on the TV at September 4th at midnight.
Well, it was Sunday night. It was Sunday night. And he's like, oh, Jay and Dan's on at midnight tonight. I'm like, no, they're on tomorrow. And he's like, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yes, I'm sure.
You only knew that because I told you.
100%.
But the actual thing, like if you look, September 4th at midnight is really, Sunday night. So it should have been on, but it wasn't. Anyway, so a lot of people discovered that. And then the first 30 seconds of their actual show, Dan said something to Jay. He was like, he made a joke. Yeah, I'm sitting on my couch last night and I'm getting all these tweets and texts from people saying, how come you're not on set?
Right.
And then he's like, are we starting today or tomorrow?
Yeah, they made a joke of it because they realized how absurd it was.
Obviously, they were kidding, but I mean, obviously, there were a lot of people that were confused about it.
No, I went on Twitter. I went on Twitter and I searched it up, and it was like tons of people were wondering where it was on Sunday.
The only reason I knew that it wasn't on Sunday is because it said midnight on the 4th or 9 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
On the 4th. So 9 p.m. Pacific on the 4th, that means it had to have been the Monday. That's the only reason I figured it out.
Logically, I understood that it's Labor Day. It's like starting that Monday night, but it's still, the marketing didn't make sense. They should have said 11:59.
Yeah, exactly. They should have. If you have a flight at 11:59, it says 11:59.
I know.
Anyway, but go on. Right.
So that's Jay and Dan. I can go on and on about them. Suffice it to say, I hope the show gets better. I like them. I want them to succeed, but I just don't get what they're doing at this point.
There was one I've only watched like 2 or 3 this week, which I guess is there was only been 5.
Yeah.
And there's one point where they're reading the highlights. Jay's reading the highlights, and I think who was it? Aaron Judge broke the record for most homers by a rookie this week. I think.
Maybe a Yankees rookie. Maybe yeah.
Okay, so then they mentioned how the previous record, or the current record, maybe still, if he hasn't broken it yet, is held by Mark McGwire.
Oh, so rookies. Then it is the rookie record. Okay, but then Mark McGwire had 47 homers or 48 homers.
Anyway, I was only half paying attention to what he was talking about.
Right.
But the point is, he said Mike McGwire. Not Mark McGwire. And then he said, oh, but it says Mike McGwire on my script, and all I do is read the script. So that tells me that they don't even write their own show. They have people that write stuff for them.
Oh, they definitely don't write their own show. I think they ad-lib a lot of the weird jokes, but they don't write a lot of the stuff. It's clear. It's clear when you watch it that it's like a comedy. It's almost like borderline SNL. Like they have writers and they're delivering. Yeah, it's scripted.
So then why can't you and I do that? If we had writers, we could do a show.
Well, we do a show that's better than theirs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So second thing on my list, Thursday Night Football started.
Yes.
So you do know that it had the lowest opening night ratings of since 2009.
I didn't know that.
So we talked a lot last year about how the NFL ratings were down, and the trend is. I mean, they picked up last year. It kind of recovered, but like it's picking up this year, kind of how it started last year with bad ratings, and no one's really exactly sure why it had such bad ratings. I mean, there's a lot of theories, and I subscribe to many of them. The whole Ezekiel Elliott suspensions, Roger Goodell stuff is like casting a cloud over the league. A lot of people are turned off by that. The way the league kind of reacts to domestic violence and crimes involving women are also it's casting a shadow. I think a lot of female NFL fans are turned off by the league. There's a whole list of like reasons why, but like I told you in a conversation that we didn't include in one of our episodes, just when we were talking on the phone this week, like I've thought for like at least the last 5 years, the NFL is not really a good product anymore. It's not as good as it was. A lot of it has to do with all the new rules about hittings to avoid concussions.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with no one knows what a catch is anymore.
Right.
You know, you could watch a game and you're like, was that a catch? Wasn't it a catch? No one knows the rules. Sometimes I feel the refs don't even know the rules, right? So there's a lot of like weird stuff going on in the league, and I think it's chipped away at the viewership. And another thing that's going to chip away at the viewership is right now, I'm going to read you a list of 30% of the starting quarterbacks in the league right now. I'm going to do rapid fire, okay?
Okay.
And this is the reason why ratings are going to be down, because they all suck. So no matter what game you're watching, you're going to be watching a team with a bad quarterback. Okay, so Josh McCown, Deshaun Kaiser, Tom Savage, Jared Goff, Trevor Siemian, Mike Glennon, Brian Hoyer, Blake Bortles, Sam Bradford, Jay Cutler, Scott Tolzien. Like these guys, when you tune in on Sunday, all these guys are starting.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's bad.
Well, I mean, that's not the NFL's fault. That's just, those are the top 30 quarterbacks in the world, I guess, right now. What can you do?
I think so. But the thing is, some of these quarterbacks are starting because teams are too scared to actually put someone out there that's good. You know what I mean? Like the Bears draft Mitch Trubisky. Oh, no, we're going to start Mike Glennon. You know, the 49ers, they have no clue what to do at quarterback. Brian Hoyer, right? It's just like the teams are petrified to lose, you know? That's my NFL rant.
Hi there, Skip and Josh will be right back. To get in touch with them, you can send them an email to skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. You can follow them on Twitter @skipandjosh, and you can visit their website at www.skipandjosh.com. And now, back to the show.
So this one's a little long, so let me explain a little bit. First of all, I don't know if you heard a few months ago, you know how if you wanted to watch NFL on television in this country, there's stuff on CTV, there's stuff on TSN, there's stuff on Sportsnet. I think there was even stuff on City TV at a certain point.
Yeah.
So you never really knew where you could watch the game. You knew you could watch every game you wanted to pretty much, but not sure where.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Bell Media, they changed all that. They added Thursday games. They got the rights to the Thursday games. So now Bell Media has exclusive rights to every single NFL game the entire week.
They've really expanded all the coverage with like all the TSNs, all the CTVs, right?
Yes, yeah. So basically it's like what Rogers did with hockey, Bell is doing this with football.
Right.
And in fact, Jay and Dan even alluded to that they have all the football, NFL and CFL, but that's not my point here. So now if you want to watch NFL, you know where to go. But that's not the main thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you knew this, and I was going to talk about this regardless, but then I just happened to notice an article online this morning that was only posted yesterday. So apparently this is a bigger deal than I even thought it was. But used to be, I subscribe to Bell. I know you're with Videotron. It used to be if you wanted to subscribe to like Sunday NFL Ticket or the NFL Red Zone, you can get it on your television. But you can't anymore. I don't know if you knew that. In Canada, you can't get Sunday NFL Ticket or the Red Zone on your TV. Did you know this?
I had no idea. Well, Videotron always has weird packages, so I've never really explored all these options because I know Videotron doesn't really offer good packages or good the coverage of this. What they offer is not exactly what you can get in Ontario, I think. Mm-hmm. So
But you could get Rogers in Quebec if you wanted, and
I think I could, yeah.
you could have up until this year. You could have gotten Sunday NFL Ticket in the Red Zone, but now you can't get it on your television anymore. And why is this? Because there's this new thing called DAZN, which is spelled DAZN. I don't know if you've seen the ads for this. The only thing that
I haven't seen this. I've never heard about this, and the name DAZN is terrible.
Okay, well. Here in this city, in this province, whether I go online or whether I go on the subway or wherever, the thing I've seen the most in the last month has been the Jay and Dan promos. The thing I've seen the second most in this province is promos for DAZN. So I'm surprised that you haven't heard of it at all. But
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so the name is not good. You're right. It's a European company, and what they do is they stream every single sport you can imagine. And so if you get it for $20 a month, you get every single NFL game. Not on your television, on your laptop, on your iPad, on your phone, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So that's why you can't subscribe to Sunday NFL Ticket or the Red Zone on your television anymore. Now, a couple of things. So the first game was Thursday. Yes, you mentioned that. And apparently there were a lot of issues with the streaming quality of the game on Thursday. And so there are a lot of people in Canada that are very angry because they've paid their $20 and they didn't get the quality that they're used to getting. Now, I don't know why you would even need it because the Thursday game was on regular television. So I don't know why you would need to subscribe to
Well, there's some people that don't subscribe to any television. They do everything on their computers.
Very true. Good point. So anyway, so those people were not happy. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, if you do want to watch every football game and you don't want to stream it, there is another way to do it because what CTV or Bell Media is doing now, they have all these different CTV channels. They have CTV 1, CTV 2, TSN 1 through 5, but they also have like CTV Montreal, CTV Toronto, CTV Vancouver, and so on and so forth. And they have a different NFL game on each one of those CTVs. And so if you subscribe to Time Shifting, which I think is only $5 a month, I'm not sure.
You can get all of them, right?
You can get any NFL game you want.
Yeah.
So there is a way around it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I saw that there was expanded coverage by TSN and CTV, and I was like, great news. Good for the viewers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I'm not going to subscribe to DAZN because I don't need to see every NFL game, and I can get pretty much any game I want just with my regular cable package.
You know what? There's a Thursday night game, there's a Sunday night game, and there's a Monday night game. So you get those automatically.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the games are divided up between 1 and 4. And then usually there's like one good game at 1 o'clock and one good game at 4 o'clock, if that. And usually I get the game I want to see, So I'm not paying $20 a month to get like one game or 3 games maybe that I might miss out on the whole year.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. DAZN. My God, that's the dumbest thing.
I didn't know when I saw it at first. I'm like, how do you pronounce that? But then when I read the article, it says how to pronounce it.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue with my third thing.
Yeah, go on.
It's baseball, shifting to baseball.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to comment on this. I don't even know how I feel about it, but I just wanted to bring to your attention that there's something really interesting going on in baseball this year. On August 28th or 29th, the 5,000th homer of the season was hit. Now
that must be a record.
No, it's 5,000 has been achieved 11 other times, but never this early.
Right.
So the record is 5,693 in a season. Mm-hmm. You could see I did my research, and we've already hit 5,000, and we're on pace now. They definitely will be. I mean, unless all of a sudden everybody stops hitting homers, which is unlikely. Statistically, the trend should follow. They're going to hit over 6,000 homers for the first time ever this year. Now, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't have a hot take on this. I don't have anything. I just wanted to throw it out there saying that it's super interesting that, when we were kids, it was a lot of singles. It was singles and stolen bases. Remember the Expos in the 80s, the Cardinals, you played small ball. That's gone, right?
Yeah.
The percentage of runs scored via home runs is higher than ever this year.
Right.
The average fan, if you go to a game, you walk into the Rogers Center, you go see the Jays and the Angels, you're going to see at least 3 home runs in that game.
Chicks dig the long ball,
which is pretty incredible. I think it's great for the fans, but I just find it weird that like we're hitting this record number of homers, and back when we were younger, remember like 1987, it's like all of a sudden people were hitting homers like crazy, and everybody's talking about the juiced up ball. Like there's been years in our lives, every 5 to 10 years, where they're like, what's up with the ball? Are guys on steroids? Why is there so many homers? Meanwhile, this year, the league is going to hit the most homers it ever has, but no one's talking about it at all.
Well, I actually have heard people say that they think the ball is juiced.
Yeah, and actually there was an article that I read in prepping for this that said that there's a threshold, like there's a range of acceptable balls, and the ball that they're using this year is at the highest, it's at one end of that range, like
Right.
It's at the limit of the range where it's acceptable.
This is reminiscent of Deflategate in the NFL.
I guess. I mean, but baseballs can't deflate, right?
No, but I mean, you can wind them tighter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the tighter you wind them, the more pop they have.
Yeah. So I just thought it's interesting because, you know, in past years, there was so much talk about why are home runs up and everything, and no one's really talking about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm going to guess, and I don't know how much research you did, but I'm going to guess that homers are up and batting averages in general are down.
100%. Well, singles are down. They're the same article. I could post the article on our website. It's an interesting article. They break down all kinds of crazy stuff, showing that like back in many years ago, the percent of singles versus the percent of homers, and you know all this kind of stuff. I mean, baseball's great because you can analyze it 16 ways and million. You know, there's no end to the stats that you can derive from baseball. I guess that's part of why we love it, right?
Now there are players that, I mean, you know, back in the day, you had like Dave Kingman, guys like that, who it was either a home run or a strikeout.
Well, now you have Aaron Judge, same thing.
Right, but Kingman, there weren't a lot of guys like Kingman.
No.
You know, so he had a lousy batting average, but he was probably going to hit a homer a game. Or
there's a lot of guys like that now. Yeah.
Right. So now these days, there's a bunch of guys who like it's a homer or a strikeout.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of guys with lower batting averages. So you don't see like Tony Gwynn anymore, or you don't see guys like that anymore.
Back in the day, also you used to have shortstops. You know, Bill Russell, Bucky Dent, Larry Boa, Dave Concepcion, like Ozzie Smith, guys that were great fielders but that couldn't hit homers, right?
Right. As long as they could field, it didn't matter. They would bat eighth.
Yeah, same thing with second baseman. There wasn't many power hitting second basemen. You know, our lives growing up, there were like the one power hitting second baseman, you know, was like Bobby Grich. He would hit 20 homers and it was like a big deal, right? Yeah. And then Ryan Sandberg came along and everyone was freaking out. Oh my God, the second baseman that can hit. But now, like doesn't matter what position you play, they all hit homers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's my baseball. I have my last thing, and it's very short. My fourth thing. So way back within our first 10 episodes, I don't remember the number of the episode. It was our Philadelphia episode. You mentioned, and I'm going to preface this by saying I owe you an apology.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah. So you mentioned the show The Goldbergs.
Yes,
and
you said you've never seen it.
And I kind of made fun of you and said, well, I kind of blew it off, right?
Yeah.
So on my flight to Barcelona, I was stuck with the entertainment system from the airline, and I didn't have anything to watch, and I saw that the Goldbergs was there. So I said, I'm going to give this show a try. And I have to admit, it's a very funny show, and it's a very clever show. It's extremely well written, and for guys that are our age, you know, that grew up in the 80s, it's like a lot of nostalgia.
Yes.
And the theme song is great, and I enjoyed it. So I just wanted to tell you that, like, I want to take back all the bad stuff I said about the Goldbergs.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It is a good show, and I'm looking forward to the new season coming up in a few weeks.
Right. All right. So I've done my 4 things. You've done 1. Now it's your turn. Rapid fire.
Okay. So again, some of these you won't comment on. Some of these will take 30 seconds, but so a few things. About a month ago, and you know, during the summer, other than baseball, there's not much going on. So all these sports networks, they need to fill all this airtime,
including our show.
Right. So, and at work, I've got my television on at my desk. It's on all the time on either Sportsnet or TSN or whatever. So I always have the sound off, so I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. And even if I do happen to glance at it, again, the sound is off, so I'm not really listening to what's happening. Anyway, why do I say this? Because they do these features, you know, during the summer when they've got nothing else really to cover. And like, what do hockey players do during the off season? That's one of the features, right? And a lot of hockey players, they go to their cottage and they're there all summer and whatever, and they go fishing or they go hunting or who knows what they do. So anyway, so I'm watching this feature, and again, keep in mind the sound is off, so I don't know who it's about or whatever. I glance at it, and it looks like an NHL player, but I'm not 100% sure who it is. And then there's the host from Sportsnet who's on the segment as well. And they're going to, like, I don't know if they're going to a wine tasting or they're eating oysters or something. They look like they're in some, up in the country somewhere. I don't even know what province they're in. And there's a woman in the segment as well. And I didn't recognize the woman. And so I just assumed that she's like, she owns the bed and breakfast, or she owns the wine tasting place, or she owns the farm that they happen to be visiting, right?
Right.
I have no clue. You're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this. You'll understand.
I can't wait to see where this is going.
Anyhow, they put this on like every hour for like, I don't know, 20 straight days. It was on over and over again. You could see it at 10 in the morning. You could see it at 10 at night.
So you've seen it like 20 times, all with no sound.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then one time I actually stopped to watch it. This was at home. I'm home and I'm like, okay, let's watch this. And again, still with the sound off, or like, I don't know, I had the radio on, or so I couldn't hear what was going on, but I'm like, wait a minute. I know who that hockey player is, and I know who that woman is. Now, I should mention that the first time I saw it, and even the second and the third and the fourth, whatever, I didn't think that the woman was terribly attractive. Like, she was, whatever, not unattractive, but just an ordinary girl.
Yeah.
Nothing special.
Okay.
And then I discovered who it was. And I was so upset at myself. Because the hockey player was Dion Phaneuf and the woman was Alicia Cuthbert.
Oh my God.
And you know how much I love Alicia Cuthbert. Yeah. And I thought that she looked terrible.
Oh my God. I don't know where to go with this, but it's a crazy story.
You don't have to say anything, but like, you know how much I love Alicia Cuthbert. And so anytime I would see her, I'd obviously freak out. But she just didn't look that good in this segment.
Well, I don't know what to say.
There's nothing to say.
She's not the 18-year-old Alicia Cuthbert from 24 all those years ago.
Following takes place between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Just wanted to mention that. So that was like, I sort of upset myself is what happened.
I have nothing to say. I think you should go to your next story.
Okay. Next story is a recent story. This came out in the news 48 hours ago. And I think you'll like this because we sort of alluded to this during the NHL playoffs last year. I don't know if you heard, but the Ottawa Senators are decreasing the number of seats in the Canadian Tire Center. Did you hear this story?
I saw a news article about it, and I was like, whatever. Let the Senators do what they want.
Yeah, they can do what they want. But I mean, what does this tell you? So they have, it holds, I think, 18 or 19,000 or 20,000 normally. Like, that's what it holds. And they're just going to cover up about 1,500 seats, the top seats in the upper bowl, and not sell them. Which I don't really understand. I get that they want the place to look full. I get that.
Right.
But so they're basically creating scarcity by eliminating seats.
Right. So they're going to try to maybe drive up the price of the current tickets by like making sure the games are sold out.
Right. But I mean, so you're going to now say that if you actually sell out and those 1,500 seats aren't sold, you're going to say that you sold out. But you didn't, because you just covered up 1,500 seats.
Ottawa continues to be an organization that kind of thinks it's smarter than everybody else, but actually is more of a laughingstock. Honestly, like it's like they never cease to amaze me with what they're doing, and even as a hockey market, I mean, I guess they know their market, because you remember it was this year in the playoffs or last year, like the games weren't sold out even.
Yeah, it was just this past spring.
They had empty seats during a playoff series, and we were all wondering what the hell was going on. It was embarrassing. So I guess they're gonna try to save some face.
If the place is too big, if it has too many seats, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't take out seats. I mean, you can, but like, why would you spend the money to remove seats? What happens if, one day they actually sell out minus the 1,500 seats, and then more people want to come to the game? They're going to say, no, sorry, it's sold out. They're going to turn you away and not take your money?
Oh, probably,
I don't get that.
Probably in a playoff series, if they sell out, maybe they'll open those seats. But I mean, it's pretty pathetic that a market like Ottawa can't sell out for playoff games where places like Columbus and Nashville, which are not hockey markets, were completely packed during the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, by the way, this is a trend that's happening. Less and less people are going to actual games, whether it's hockey, football, baseball, basketball, and more are watching at home or on their phone.
Yeah, because people have 80-inch TVs at home.
Yeah, it's actually a better experience. There are some sports that are better to watch at home than it is to go.
Well, we talked about it this week on the phone. Like an NFL game is weird to go watch in
it's
person.
awful.
Because, there's like a TV timeout and there's commercials. And at home, you'd go to the bathroom, you'd get to make a snack, you'd switch to the other game with your remote control.
Yeah.
But actually in the stadium, you're like, oh, what's going on? The players are just walking off to the sidelines and standing around.
Same, as much as I love March Madness, I've been to March Madness. It's so much better to watch it at home than to go there.
No, yeah, same thing. Because there's so many timeouts. There's more timeouts and TV timeouts, and like the players just stand around. Sometimes the coaches aren't even talking to them. They're just like, okay, get a drink of water and get ready to go on. We have nothing to say. Yeah. All right, so I'm waiting for your fourth thing.
So fantasy baseball. I know that you haven't looked at your team since May, and you are aware that I sort of help Book run his team.
Right.
And Book hasn't looked at his team also, maybe not since May, but he hasn't looked at his team in a while.
Right.
So for the last month, I've been running Book's team.
Right.
And like we're in last place.
I know you texted me saying you're in last place, and I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't looked at my team since May. How am I not in last place? And not only am I not in last, I'm ahead of 3 teams.
I know, you're in 9th. That's the funny thing. You haven't looked at your team since May, and you're in 9th place. I've been managing our team for the last month, and for the life of me, I can't get a win. And I'm like making moves and using strategy and all kinds of things. Meanwhile, your lineup has 3 hitters that are on the DL in your starting lineup.
Right.
Okay, and somehow you're in 9th place. But this is not even what I wanted to talk about. So I'm playing you this week.
Okay.
And remember, you have 3 guys in your lineup that are on the DL. Plus, I think you have 2 pitchers in your starting lineup also on the DL. So you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah. I still beat you?
It's Saturday morning. There's only 2 days left in the week.
Yeah.
Our game is tied.
Oh, my God.
Like, you could actually win.
You're going to give me incentive to log on and make some changes, but I think I don't want to, just to see what happens.
No, you shouldn't, because it's going to be even more embarrassing for me if you don't log on and you still win.
I love it.
Even if you tie, it'll be embarrassing for me.
That's so good. Oh my God. It's so funny with the fantasy baseball because 2 years ago, like I emailed the commissioner saying, hey, can you let me back in the league? Because I took a hiatus for a few years from it. And then he was like, yeah. And then last year I didn't enjoy it. And then this year I lost interest right away. And next year, I guess that's the end of fantasy baseball for me. All right. Good show.
Yeah.
So before we sign off, you remember that you can listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Skip and Josh podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play. I use an app called Overcast, which is also great. And I texted you this week about one for the very popular app for the Android phones called Podcast Addict, which is, you could try it out if you're having trouble with your Google Play Music. If you do listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. We would also love to hear from you via email, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com, via Twitter and at Skip and Josh, or by liking and following our Facebook page, where you can also now leave a review for our show. And as always, you can get all the links that I just mentioned on our website, skipandjosh.com.
Awesome.
All right. Talk to you next time, Cub.
The Skip and Josh podcast is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.